On today's show,
very rare that you beat a Silver Lake team twice, let alone one time.
I thought that was just the team from the East. I didn't know you referred to like.
Yeah. I'll probably have to go wash my mouth out because I don't like referring to those guys a little. But yeah, that team over there.
Episode 31 of Kansas Sports Chatter has arrived. Thanks for tuning in and watching. My name is Cole Reif. It is a statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Yeah, we got YouTube viewers. I got some scruff. Wash that off. Got some whiskers sticking out of there. People are like, "Oh, you trying to grow out your beard?" No, I'm just purposely lazy. Like I hate shaving because I feel like you never do a good job. Like I use an electric shaver because again, I'm lazy and I hate shaving. I use a razor blade. Maybe it'll be a little bit cleaner, but I always feel like I leave like some stragglers. Like no matter how good of a job you do, there's always like one or two whiskers sticking out. Just dislike shaving. It never grows in well. There's always patchy for mine. So yeah, I don't intentionally grow things out. It's just pure laziness. Hey, we have a good show for you today. A really fun conversation later on. First things first, we'll have our leadoff question. Shaylee Holzmeister, a girls basketball player for Colby High School, will be the leadoff question. Mitch Fortner was the radio voice of the Manhattan Indians. He was part of that state championship run. He'll give us a behind-the-mic look of a previous game at home for Manhattan and his broadcast setup. Then that conversation, we're going a new segment called the Versus segment, where we're going to have two teams pitted up against each other with some friendly banter comparing those two teams, and we're going to compare a couple of state championship teams from Rossville, and the Horak brothers will join us. Thatcher, Tucker, Torrey, and Tayson will all be a part of the conversation. And then our final segments will have Carly Dameron, a member of the Coffeyville Community College girls basketball team and originally from Goddard Eisenhower High School, will be our next level talents. The show starts off with the leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question with Shaylee Holzmeister, a member of the Colby girls basketball team. Shaylee, your favorite highlights of your high school career so far?
I would say definitely the first game of the state tournament. It was such a surreal feeling, and I don't know, it's like a feeling I can't explain, but it was crazy. I've never had that much energy, nervousness, excitement at one time.
What was your mindset going into that state tournament game? Do you remember like what the feeling was like, the days prior?
I was definitely, our coach tells us not to be nervous, but I was definitely nervous and a little bit scared. I mean, I've never been to the state tournament, but I was so excited for us to have that chance because we had worked so hard that year and the years prior, and it was just time for us. I don't know. It was so fun, and it was just so fun to be with my teammates and have that experience with them.
At what point did you kind of settle in? Was there a moment for you that you kind of, able to collect your nerves? Yeah,
I would say definitely. I feel like this is for every game for me is after I make my first basket. So sometimes that's not for a while, but I was definitely really nervous at tip off, and it was crazy. It was such a weird feeling.
Any specific highlights you had from that game that stand out so that you really remember?
Oh gosh, there was definitely I think it was the third quarter. It kind of got a little rough. We were winning by not quite a bit, but we had to come back. I think we were down at half, and it just started to get kind of rough, and it was just really fun and crazy.
Do you go back and watch that game? Like, what do you remember from that, and just any moments that you go back and watch?
Oh, boy. A lot. I mean, it was just crazy. I think it was the best basketball we have played all year long, and I think that we were all nervous, but it all made us better. So I don't know.
That's Shaylee Holzmeister, a member of the Colby girls basketball team, with today's leadoff question. She's had a lot of those highlights. Shaylee Holzmeister, a member of the Colby girls basketball team, with our leadoff question. Thanks to our sponsors, Meyers Enterprises and also SPX. A break in the action then. When we come back, we're going to have a behind-the-mic look from Mitch Fortner. He was the radio voice of the Manhattan Indians during their state championship run and has been with Manhattan Radio for a number of years. He's going to give us a look at his broadcast setup from a game previously this year in the state semifinals, the last home game for Manhattan before they eventually won the state title. The Behind the Mic look with Mitch Fortner is next.
Sportsmanship is when people who are playing or watching a sport treat each other with respect. This is a reminder to be a good sport to your peers, coaches, opponents, fans, and the people officiating the game. Sporting events have a much better atmosphere when everyone involved is displaying good sportsmanship.
It is time for Behind the Mic, our opportunity to kind of get a sneak peek at just the broadcast setup of a number of announcers from across the state. And today joining us is going to be Mitch Fortner. He is going to be on the broadcast for the Manhattan High School Indians football team. Voice of the Indians. Hey, Mitch, appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, for you, how many years have you been doing Manhattan High School?
Oh, gosh. I think this is for football, this is my 5th. And then basketball, I've been doing it 8 or 9 seasons. I think this will be my 9th season. But, yeah, football 5th, and it's been a lot of wins for Manhattan during that time.
A lot of wins indeed. So take me through your arrival. Like, what time are you showing up to the press box?
So I just got here about, let's see what time it is, about 30 minutes ago. And it takes about 15 minutes to set up. It's really not that bad. And the walk from the parking lot to the stadium it's pretty quick. So I definitely have it now down to a system and certainly a timeline, a step-by-step on when I want to leave the radio station. It's about 3 miles from here. And so, yeah, the whole process takes about 30 minutes. It's pretty easy.
You talk about leaving the radio station, kind of talk about that balance of, obviously doing your radio show, but also doing the play-by-play as well, and kind of how you find time for both.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of long hours. I mean, when we get into this business, we know the hours are going to add up for sure. I got to do a best of on Fridays because we're traveling half the time, and my co-host on the radio show is also my color analyst. So we're both very busy on Fridays. Oh, we only do it for football. Basketball season, we're doing live shows on Friday, and one of us will go do some play-by-play. The others will go hit up some. If I'm not doing the game that Friday, I'll go to Rock Creek or I'll go to Wamego that night and go get some interviews there and go watch their games. But no, it's a very tough balance, but I've been doing this now long enough. I've been at K-Man now for over 13 years. So I think I got it figured out at this point how to do it the right way.
Your experience. All right, we'll let you flip that camera around and give us a tour of the setup here with your press box and where you arrive. All right, so what are we looking at here? What we got?
Well, okay, so first of all, I like to keep it pretty simple. I don't like a whole lot of clutter, and thanks to technology, there's not a whole lot that we have to use anymore, right? So I'll kind of go from, we'll start here. So, well, obviously we don't use the phone line anymore. That's just a 4G router. We're hooked up to the internet. We're our connection through Verizon. It's unlimited, so we don't have to worry about, it running out of data or anything. And it's top-notch stuff. It's like top of the line equipment for us to stay on air. We never drop or anything. It's really nice stuff. Plus, I just showed you minutes ago my laptop, and I'm connected through Wi-Fi through that, and we got obviously an Ethernet cable that hooks into a VIA. I'm sure a lot of people have this tie line now. This was the first edition of these new VIAs, and so I want to say it's like 6-7 years old, maybe. Haven't connected yet, but I could probably just go ahead and connect, and it's all very simple. Connected there, we're on the air, 2 headsets, and I got a crowd mic, which is right there, and it'll be going out the window. I'm not going to open up that window quite yet. We got 2 headsets. My color analyst's not here right now, but Manhattan High has been very gracious to give us a ton of space for my color analyst to keep stats, to spread out, have a bunch of papers everywhere, and have plenty of room to do his job. I keep the scores there, and then I always bring my laptop to every game since we got internet wherever we go. And what I have here is it's a scoreboard we make for every game. So it's basically all the scores that we want to keep track of through our 5 leagues that we cover. And then my board op in the station is going to keep track of all the scores, and we'll just send them right to us so we can update scores.
Oh, nice.
Whenever we need to do, we do a scoreboard update every quarter, at halftime, post-game, pre-game, and we're not having to search for scores whenever we get a chance. We have people on top of that for us. So like our board ops, what are they doing during the game? They're helping us find scores. It's a big help. That's one of my favorite things that we do. So it makes our jobs a lot easier. And then if you want to see the rest of the press box here, Cole.
Sure, let's do it.
So it's all one room. There's people down there. Mark Ewing is going to be calling the game on the live stream tonight. Used to work at WIBW. And also here at Bishop Stadium here in Manhattan, we got a new video board this year. I don't know if you can see it through the glare.
That's helpful.
But we're running all that through right here. The only issue with the press box is we got lights right here. And it gives you can probably see it now, it kind of gives you a glare. And so I always open the windows. So I'm always looking through the window. I don't care how hot or cold it is. I'm looking through the windows so I can call the games without glare. So, but other than that, Cole, that's really about it.
Now, do the windows actually come out? Because I always feel like they should always ask broadcasters on before they do like setup, like, when they're constructing new like press boxes, but no one ever asked for my opinion on whether or not the windows can come out or not. So I always feel like that's a deal breaker.
No, the press box hasn't changed since I started doing play-by-play. I will tell you though, when K-State was building the soccer stadium, they did ask me what I like, what I don't like, because I was doing radio for soccer at that time. And so they designed that booth specifically for anybody that needs to do radio. It's comfortable. There's no like the beams right in the middle of the window that you're trying to look into. But there was a few, like for instance, the new scoreboard, the new video board. There's a new sound system they put in turf last year. I think somewhere down the road, if not later, it'll be sooner. There will be new things hopefully coming to the press box whenever they can, get to it, I suppose.
Your preparation, Mitch, like how much time and just how much preparation do you need for a broadcast that you feel, comfortable going into the game?
I don't know if I ever feel like I've done enough prep sometimes because like you mentioned, I do a show every day. I host Power Cat Game Day on Saturday, so I'm prepping for that. I do a morning show. I do a lot. I would say, man, I probably do about 10 hours. Okay. 10 hours of prep, doing my charts, which I forgot to bring. And so my color guy went back and just went to go get him real quick. He may be here back in a second. About 10 hours. I watch film. I watch film with Coach Schartz every Wednesday. So that's a big help, helping me prep for, for example, Derby, who we're about to play here tonight. We watch film on Wednesday. So that helps me prep a little bit. And then I'm doing all my chart work on Fridays. If we're on the road, I'll get it started on Thursday.
Hey, Mitch, I appreciate the insights and I appreciate the tour as well.
Cole, you're the man. I'm happy to join you anytime.
All right, we'll get you back on the winner. That's Mitch Fortner. He is the voice of the Manhattan Indians, joining us here for Behind the Mic. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Kansas Sports Chat are all about trying something new and bringing in different guests. And for this segment, we're going to call it our Versus segment. We're going to take two teams from different time periods and make some friendly comparisons about those two teams. And to help us out with this segment, we have the Horak brothers out of Rossville High School, all of which competed and won a state championship at some time period in their time at Rossville High School. Thatcher, Tucker, Torrey, and also Tayson. And for those like kind of setting the stage, Thatcher, Tucker, you guys won a state championship in 2015 together. And then Torrey won a state championship in 2020, and Torrey and Tayson won a state championship together with Rossville in 2021. All right, so first of all, I'll just set the stage. Like, for you guys, like, what was it like competing in a state championship, especially like that first one, for those that were able to repeat, but like that first state championship experience? What was that like? We'll start out with the oldest, Thatcher.
Oh man. Yeah, it was, like Coach Thomas said, it was the ultimate goal, and to be able to be a part of the first state championship in Rossville history was crazy. So many emotions. It's something, especially in small towns, you talk about as a kid. You talk about being a state champion. You always go into the Friday night football games with your dad and your brothers, uncles, cousins. Everyone to, watching all those older guys play. But then to be able to achieve that ultimate goal and to do it with your brother and cousin, it was awesome, because Corbin, our cousin, was a part of that team as well. That was quite the deal, man. It's still something, every now and then you go back and, especially this week since the boys are going to state, I sat down the other night and I watched our old state championship game, and, it just gets you fired up. It's just something that sticks with you forever.
Tucker, what about you? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I think Thatcher summed it up pretty well, but when I think about really that first one in particular, as special as that is, I think the emotions really kind of take you back to what got us there. And, I just remember just as little kids growing up, our dad was a coach and was on the sidelines or up in the box. And so we were always around a lot of those older guys. I think the Askren brothers, the Bueller brothers, Tanner Cady, the Graves brothers. There's just a lot of guys that we grew up really idolizing and wanting to be like and wanting to kind of follow in their footsteps. And one of the humps that we always knew that we had to get over was beating those guys that were a few miles out to the east of us. And so for us to kind of go through that path and that journey and add a couple guys to our team as we grew up and went through kids club football, through junior high football, and then up through, our 4 awesome years of high school. I really think about all the times kind of before that really led up to it. And then you get into the actual game and you run into some adversity and you're getting to do it next to, like Thatcher said, our sibling and our cousin and a lot of our really close friends that we looked at as brothers as well. And so to do it at any school, at any level, to win a championship is hard enough and is really exciting and can bring a new energy to the community. But you add in the fact that you take a small town of, 12 or 1,300 people that all they want to do all year round is go win football games with that team on Friday. And so getting to do it for the community with the team that we did was an incredible experience.
Torrey, what do you remember from that experience?
Well, as Tuck kind of said, they had looked up to some of those older guys that had came in before them. Tuck, Thatch, their age, those guys were those were the guys we looked up to. I believe I was in 5th grade when they won the first one in 14. And I had never felt anything like that. Getting to watch your older brothers celebrate on the field like that and, be kings really for an entire day is an awesome feeling. And we had never really come close. It seemed like growing up, we'd always been kind of right on the cusp, but had just never been able to get over the hump. And I think them getting over the hump kind of opened up avenues for us, 4 or 5 years later when I hit high school, that, it can be done. But they also kind of showed this is what it takes.
Tayson, I guess the most recent graduate from Rossville High School, what was that experience like for you being part of that team?
So there was a lot of, kind of back to what all of my brothers said, a lot of guys that they looked up to. And my freshman year, obviously, is when we won. And there was a lot of guys, a lot of seniors specifically, that I looked up to because while we were really good, I never really played a whole lot my freshman year. And so when I was watching, I was always kind of looking out for the guys that were leading me. And I took a lot of notes on how they led each other every day at practice. And it was really fun because I got to push them a lot on the scout team, and we kind of got after it a little bit on both sides of the ball. And it was really fun because practices were a blast, and it actually, the seniors and the leaders of the group made it really fun to show up every day and show me what it was like to win and lead each other.
Yeah, say you didn't play much, but I think you had a tackle in the state championship game on kickoff, if I can recall. So.
No,
He also
actually,
had a hold in the state championship game that called back
Oh,
my
that's
50-yard
right.
return. So
Sorry, I was trying to help you out there.
Call it a wash.
All right, we're gonna pit a couple of those two teams against each other here for our versus segment. Just some friendly banter here, but I mean, you look at all those state championship teams, and we're gonna go ahead and single out the 2015 state title team that both Tucker and Thatcher are part of, and then the 2021 state championship for Rossville that Torrey and Tayson were part of. Your early thoughts on this matchup, if those two had to square off against each other, and how things would shake out. So we'll start with Tucker. What do you think there?
So,
Just be honest, Tucker. Speak from the heart. You have to hold back.
Well, I'll just first talk about kind of what the matchups would look like on that. And I actually, first off, I appreciate you doing this. This is freaking awesome. This really, I've never in my life went in and looked at our stats from those seasons and our individual stats. And so this kind of gave me an opportunity, really an excuse to go in and do that. And so,
yeah, you had some video game stats.
Yeah, we got on a roll there, but it was really cool getting to kind of work through some of that. And so I wrote out really what our kind of starting 11 through 15 on defense were, and then the same thing for offense, and then kind of thought about some of the key players that ran around with Torrey and Tayson there. And the first thing that I think we would probably have a little bit of an advantage on is just the fact that we had two stud outside receivers, both being at the classification we were playing at the time, 3A, being considered big receivers. And not just big receivers, they were big three-sport receivers. So they had ball skills. And, I'm talking about Christian Rodner and then our cousin, Corbin Horak. And then a roster of guys that we could rotate in behind them. And so just having those two out there and being able to spread the field because you have to match up with them it played a mismatch for anybody and really gave us numbers where we needed them. And then the next piece being kind of the opposite of that is just our ability to run the ball, not with just myself and Nick Reeser in the backfield, but the fact that our 4 or 5 guys that rotated at inside slot all were coming in and playing a running back type position. So you had Thatcher and Dawson Thomas and Ethan Woodcock and Jack Steckel and guys that could just fly around and were physical and could take hits and could not just come in and run the inside zone and run power, but could also spread the field and run some outside plays as well. And that was only possible with what we had up front. And for what we really lacked in size up front with our 5 starting offensive linemen, we made up for with really their ability to be extremely versatile. They were all agile and fast. I still remember our left guard, Gabe Marney, watching him in PE class, being able to touch his toes and reach down and touch the bottom of his heels when we would do the, what do they call it? The physical day or whatever, right, at the end of every quarter. And so just guys like that up front that were not just fast and strong and agile, but also how conditioned we were up front and out of the backfield. I mean, I would honestly argue that I've never watched any other team in the state practice, but I would venture to guess we were the most disciplined, intentional, hardest practicing team in the entire state. We practiced like we were going to take 100 snaps on offense and 100 snaps on defense, all of spread, high tempo. And so we could really change the game, through the third and the fourth quarter by being able to break people down. And then the final piece on the 2014-2015 team was probably our biggest weapon, who we actually got on a plane from Germany, and he came over, and I was pulling his stats this morning. Our kicker, Paul Steinke, came over from Germany and was just this little 13 or 14-year-old kid that ran around with us and was just a blast. But his final numbers, my junior year, which would have been that season we're talking about, he was 96 for 96 on PATs, and he was 102 for 102 on total kicks for the year.
Wow.
And so if it came down to a field goal late in the game or a PAT, not that I think that it would, but I feel pretty good about that. And then you kind of roll over to the other side, and I think about Bo Reeves. As much as we can spread the field and match up with just about anybody, I think on that roster, Bo Reeves would pose a big challenge for us just because of how big he is. And I don't know if you've seen him lately, but he looks like he ate himself from high school. Big, had great ball skills, was fast, ran good routes, extremely intelligent with field and spacing, and was always on the same page with Torrey and Corey, whoever was starting. And so I do think he would pose a big challenge, although he's going to have to line up across from myself or Thatcher. So I think by the third and fourth quarter, he's going to probably be feeling that a little bit. So it'd be a fun matchup.
All right, Torrey and Tayson, you got to hold it down for the 2020 team. So, Torrey, we'll get your take on your team and how it would match up.
Yeah, that 21 team, I think, looking on paper, I personally think our biggest advantage, knowing the dogs that they had on that line, I think that's where we fall into the advantage a little bit. We've got two guys right now that are fighting for starting spots at D2 MIAA colleges with Brody Leeds and Jacob Carver. You move to the other side, you've got Shawai Hale and Barrett Leeds, Brody's little brother, and then Malik at center. Of my 4 years of high school, it was by far our biggest, most physical line that we had. The dudes could fly around, not scared to hit anybody. And then I think, just having the weapon of Corey Catron, I think he had just over 2,000 all-purpose yards that year. I missed 3 games at quarterback. Corey came in. I wrote his stats down here. I think in those 3 games I missed, he threw for just under 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Had about 1,600 total yards over the course of the season. And then I think, we changed up our offense a little bit going into the senior year. We moved a couple passes around, kind of changed our playbook to get more quick passes on the edge, move the pocket a little bit more, get me out of the pocket, and kind of, have that option to run at the same time. And our 2 outside wide receivers in Cade Prine and Tegan Kippas just ate. I mean, they did all season. I think that would be, I don't know that we'd hold an advantage there. But the quick passes to the outside, we started hitting those, and that really opened up our running game, I felt like. And then defensively, again, to brag on Corey a little bit, dude had 101 total tackles. Wow. We forced, I think, 12 picks that year, just about won a game, had about 7 or 8 sacks as a team. I just think the biggest thing is that senior year we finally meshed, man. Everything kind of fell into place a little bit. It felt, I don't want to say it felt easy, but it just felt like when everybody's on the same page, man, stuff just rolls. And that's kind of where I felt like we left that season off. It's just, man, we were on the hottest of rolls I think we could have been on.
Now, Thatcher, you have an interesting perspective. Like we talked about being a coach of the latter teams and then also being a player for that 2015 championship. So what would be your perspective as a coach if these 2 teams squared off?
Yeah, that's another tough one. Because I don't want to say anything. I mean, really, I don't care about offending anyone, but it's just it's one of those deals that is tough. Obviously, I would always have to go with the team that I played on, but there were some mismatches for that 2020 team that would be a problem for us as well. I'll start with Torrey and Tayson's team, that 2020 team. They had a pretty good size line. Then you throw in a quarterback like Torrey. That's always something that stands out on film right away is like, man, how do we contain that guy? Torrey had some incredible numbers and what he did was pretty special there. And then you have other guys like Bo Reeves and Woody Rizak. Man, those guys, like Bo was big and he could fly, good ball skills. And Woody Rizak is I believe hands down the fastest guy that ever put on a Rossville jersey. That guy could just flat move. So, they had a bunch of weapons, and so those would be tough matchups to scout for, But then when you look back at our 2014-15 team there, I feel like that team was more of just a whole complete team, if that makes sense. You look at our defense was crazy. Our front four were some of the four nastiest guys you could find. You had like a Terrence Sowers and a Luke Hurtig on the ends, and then you had a Gabe Marney, Cole Dameron, then you had Isaac Llewellyn, or Snacks as we called him. And those are four nasty dudes. Then you go to our second level, which I think, that year we had two of the best linebackers that may have ever walked through Rossville. You look at a Nick Reeser, the guy was 190 pounds, strong as an ox, could run, and was one of the smarter linebackers, and it was the smartest linebacker I ever played with. And that started from Pee Wee League all the way up until we graduated. And then he went on to play at Highland for a few years until he banged up his knee a little bit. And then you had Dawson Thomas as well. Dawson Thomas, his stats numbers speak for himself. And then he went on to go play at Emporia, and had a phenomenal career there. And then we had Lake Schultz Pruner there at middle linebacker, turned into an amazing linebacker. Then you have our secondary where you have Tucker and I out at corner. Then you have Corbin, and then you have Christian Rodner. And I just feel like as a whole, our defense was one of the tougher defenses, you could find for a Rossville football team. Offensively, our numbers kind of spoke for themselves as well, just like that 2020 team did. But, I think if you ask me, I think that 14 team has a little bit of an edge. That was just a nasty, nasty football team. The things we had to go through to get over that hump to beat that Silver Lake team, and I also look at our schedule too. And I'll touch on that. I think that 14 team, that schedule we played is probably the toughest schedule that I believe Rossville's ever played. We played the defending 2A state champions and the defending 3A state champions, not only one time, but we played them twice apiece.
Yeah.
We played Centralia, the defending 2A state champions, at Centralia. And then we played them at Rossville in the playoffs. We did it at Silver Lake, and then we also had to beat them again, which, it's very rare that you beat a Silver Lake team twice, let alone one time. And then the 2020 team had to go do that as well. They had to beat them twice in that tough matchup in the regular season, and they ended up pounding those guys in the sub-state championship.
I thought that was just the team from the East. I didn't know you referred to
Yeah. I'll probably have to go wash my mouth out because I don't like referring to those guys a little. But yeah, that team over there, that town over there.
Hey, Tayson, what stood out about your guys' team? What weapons would you use from your team to kind of match up with your brother's older teams?
Well, I don't remember a whole lot from when Thatcher was a senior and Tucker was a senior because I was really young. I was probably running around behind the bleachers playing a game on my own.
There you go.
I do remember them just being really physical, and we have highlight videos every year after the season's over, and I go back and watch their tapes all the time and watch all their highlights, and they were very physical. They were a very physical team, and I would say they might win the physicality just because that's how they won games. They just fed Nick Reeser, and he would drive for yards, and they were just a really physical team, especially on defense. They had a really solid defense. And I think for my freshman year and my 8th grade year, Torrey's junior and senior, I think we were really fast, and we had a lot of skill all over the board. Obviously, Torrey mentioned the receivers being Tegan and Cade. Cade was only a junior, but he was really fast and he ran really crisp routes, and I think he would have been really hard to guard. And obviously Torrey could throw the ball really well, and he could run really well too. So he would have been pretty hard to stop. And I think Corey Catron and Raphael Cooney, they definitely would have been our physical guys, because Raphael was huge my freshman year. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that when I stepped in the weight room with him. I mean, he flat out got after it. He pushed everyone, and it was impressive to me. And we had a couple younger guys like Barrett Leeds, for instance, who stepped up really big. And I think he would have been a sophomore. Yeah, he was one grade above me, and he stepped up really well. So him and Brody would have been a really good duo. So I don't know, it's hard to compare because two different schedules, and obviously I don't remember a whole bunch from watching them play. Sure. I just know they were really good. So that was fun to watch, but I think it could go either way because there was so many weapons on either team.
Well, it's been impressive for all of you guys. Congratulations on all your feats in high school, and I appreciate your time and enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. This is
Thanks
awesome
for everything, Cole. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Get after him.
Tucker, Torrey, and Tayson Horak joining us for our Versus segments. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. It is our next level talent segment, an opportunity to talk with former Kansas high school athletes that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. Carly Dameron, one of the members of the Coffeyville Community College women's basketball team, joining us, and out of Goddard Eisenhower High School. Hey, Carly, for you, I mean, this time of the year before that Christmas break, like that quick month and a half of the basketball season, what's that like for you, that first semester?
It was a little I definitely underestimated it. I thought it was going to be more enjoyable, but to be a college athlete, it's like you have to stay at the gym. You got to make sure that you're eating the right food still, regardless if it is a 2-week break. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. You got to stay in the gym, make sure you're feeding your body right, fueling your body right. Can't lose your activity just because you have a break. It's a break, but it's not time to lose everything that you gained in the last about 3 months.
You talk about eating right. Was that something that you learned once you got to college as far as what you can and cannot eat?
I would say yes, because last year, my first semester of college, I didn't really take what I ate as seriously, and you definitely can see like how that could affect you as a person and as a player. But second semester and this entire summer and this semester, so my third semester of college, I've taken my diet a lot more serious, and I feel like it's really helping my body. Like health-wise, I don't have as many injuries, and I also feel better while going up and down the court in the game.
Settling into a new school, what's that been like for you, is kind of getting acquainted to a new surrounding?
I've loved it, actually. Coffeyville has done nothing but made me feel at home since I've gotten here. It's definitely a big turnaround from my previous school, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I feel like definitely a big part of it was the way that I took my transferring. I didn't take it as like, oh, I didn't play as much as I wanted to. Like, let's just sit down and hand it over. It was like, okay, let's get up and let's work harder. Let's earn our spot at the next school, because that's all you can do in this situation, because JUCO is hard. JUCO is difficult, and the worst you can do is just sit down and accept your defeat. And I mean, you only have 2 years to get in and get your business handled and then get out. So I feel like I'm very grateful the way that I took it, because a lot of athletes, that is going to be really hard to see that there is something bigger than failing at your first school.
What stood out about Coffeyville? I know it's early for you, kind of still settling in for that first semester, but what stood out and what did you enjoy about that you wanted to be a Red Raven?
When I came on my visit in, I think, end of April, I was just reaching out to schools that had been in contact with me during my high school career, and they just responded really, really fast within like less than 24 hours. And he was just super excited to hear from me. And I was like, okay, well, when can I come visit? And it was like the next week after I called him. He's like, let's just go next Tuesday. And I was like, okay, perfect. Like, I can do that. Just as long as it worked with my class schedule, and it did, thankfully. And so I went and I just came here, and all the girls were super inviting. And there is only 3 returners this year, but like all the girls were like, yeah, like this is like a good school, like this is a good team. And it was just like, it felt like a family environment. Like there was just constantly making jokes and like just laughing and having a good time, but also like, like when it was time to be focused, they were focused. And I just think Turner, he just reminds me a lot of one of my first coaches, Brian Butler. And so it was just really easy for me to open up to that. And it's like everything he's saying, it's encouraging, but it might sound like he's trying to tear you down, but it's always because he sees more than what you're giving him. And so I feel like it's just like a building up community more than a tearing down community. And his like biggest motto is he always says 6 positives to 1 negative. So in practice, if we're going to say something negative, we have to say 6 things positive before we say something negative. And I feel like that really, really helps also.
For you, out of Goddard, Eisenhower, what were those playing days like? What do you remember from high school playing at Ike?
Eisenhower was just a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, every girl on the team was like, we were just really close. Honestly, like a lot of us were like really close friends, and we still hang out like to this day, and I'm 2 years out of high school. So I'm really grateful for that experience. We really prioritized team bonding, whether it was just going out to get a bite to eat before a game or after a game, or if we were like going to someone's house to like play some board games and watch a movie. Like we really prioritized that. And like regardless of our record, my senior year in 2024, like it was just really fun, like being around those girls and getting to compete in a sport that I care about so deeply, and a lot of those girls do too. So I'm very grateful for my time there. It was just like a competitive but fun atmosphere, and I loved it there.
You averaged about 2 blocks per game while at Eisenhower. How much do you enjoy just shot blocking?
I love shot blocking. It's just my defense has definitely improved since then, but a good block shot just like really like it gets me going. It amps me up. I love getting a nice block shot just because it's just like it's an easy like, okay, let's reset. Let's go, because it's like, yes, it's good for me, but it's also good for my team because it's building us up and it's making the offensive team be like, oh my gosh, like now they're hesitant. So it slows them down and it builds us up. So I love it.
Anything that you learned in high school at Eisenhower, Carly, that you've really that's stuck with you, that's helped you out at the collegiate level?
I think the biggest thing for me was patience, because being like, I guess like the main scorer on my team, I had to help my teammates figure out what to do when I had the ball. As a post, it's so big that whenever the ball's in the paint, everyone can't just stand still, because if someone's man comes and helps in defense, I can't just pass the ball if I have 3 or 4 people on me. It's going to have to be people are moving and like cutting around me. And I think one of the biggest players that I appreciated playing with was Kennedy Nicholson, because she was just like a very active player. She was constantly cutting in the lane whenever I had the ball, and it was just really to get those easy assists, as well as Addie Verbeck. She did that really well too. So it definitely helped me with my patience and my court vision on offense, I'd say.
Hey, Carly, appreciate the insight, and best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That is Carly Dameron, a member of the Coffeyville Community College women's basketball team and out of Goddard Eisenhower High School. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. That's a wrap for today's show. Again, thanks to all of our guests. You can always check out the full interviews by going to the YouTube page. You can subscribe there, including that Horak conversation we had with Thatcher, Torrey, and also Tucker and Tayson, the Horak brothers from Rossville. Really fun conversation. Just seems like, I don't know, just seems like those guys would be a lot of fun to hang out with. So appreciate them coming on and talking some football with us. You can find that full interview by subscribing on YouTube with Kansas Sports Chatter. We'll talk to you again next week. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.